Hi, I'm Madeleine from Sheen Slings, and today I'm reviewing the Mini Monkey Twin Carrier. So the first thing to say about this carrier before I get it out is just how small and compact it is. It's kind of hard to believe this is going to carry two babies because it's smaller than your average carrier that carries one baby. It really does fold down small, it's nice and light, and it comes in this really convenient carry bag, which is really easy to then stick onto the pram or in the car, wherever you need it. And then the carrier simply comes out. So if you've never seen one of the twins carriers before, they look a bit strange, but this particular one has, the Mini Monkey Twin, it works off the idea it has a pocket for each twin, a nice waistband, and a cross across the back. So let me loosen this off a little bit to slip it on. Here we go. Cool. What's up? Perfect. So there's a cross that goes on the back, and then you see there's another cross at the front with two pouches either side. So this is where babies are going to go. And we've got this waistband that goes on last. You'll see this waistband is quite reasonably wide. It's padded, but it's not overly stiff, but it is also nicely padded. So you can really get it on your waistband, and you can get a nice fit for different shapes, and I'm going to get that nice and tight. And compared to sort of other twin carriers, so this is based off a carrier that's often used with woven wraps, but they've added this really nice secure waistband for the buckle, which gives this great feeling of hugging, but also can feel quite easy to do. So just clip it on, and then you can start loading your babies in. So we've got these two pouches, and you can see these pouches are actually attached to the waistband by a little loop of fabric, and we can move them along this fabric, so we can widen it out to bring babies further apart, or bring it closer together to bring them more into the front. So particularly when they're littler, you can have them more on the front, and then you can widen them out as they grow. And really it's quite conceptually easy to use. So we've got the panel baby's going to go into, and we've got 2 points of adjustment. So we can adjust the size of the panel. We can do that by tightening along here and just literally pulling diagonally, and that will adjust the size of this panel. And then we've got a clip at the top which will help give some neck support and adjust the tension across the top. And we have the same for both sides. So let me go grab a baby, and I'm going to start with my baby on my shoulder. I'm going to slip them into the panel, slowly lower them in. I slip one leg out on one side, and then the other leg on the other side. Baby comes in, and now if it's a little bit loose I can tighten, so I'm going to come under the arm the baby's on and pull this, and now I can tighten up here. It is quite stiff to adjust and tighten, and that sometimes catches parents out. It does take a little bit of getting used to literally how much pressure to put on where. The other thing that's worth saying is because we've got just these 2 points of adjustment, it does sometimes mean that there's sort of flappy extra bits of material. Actually, my doll's quite large, so we don't have loads, but on a new baby it can feel like quite a lot. And particularly if it's not quite well adjusted, it can feel like baby's swooshing off onto one side. You can, if you've got extra material, roll this behind the back of the neck, which is quite nice, gives a bit of extra support, and is quite a nice way of using up extra material on a littler baby. In general, I find this carrier, in theory, it goes from newborn to toddler. I find it works best once twins are sort of around 8 weeks old, once they feel a little bit more robust. I mean, obviously it depends, because some twins are born earlier than others, but generally once they hit about 8 weeks and they're a little bit more robust, it tends to feel a lot better than right at the beginning. I grab my second baby, I can start putting them in. The other thing to be aware of in this carrier is it's infinitely easier to get the first baby in than the second. You do have to sort of really reach around the first to get the second in. And compared to some of the other options, so one of the other options I often talk to parents about is simply using 2 singleton carriers. It does mean if one comes out, you are a little bit lopsided while you only have one baby in. Just checking I've got both legs out. Great. And so now I'm going to tighten this strap, this side up, by pulling here. And as I said, these straps can be quite stiff and they're quite sensitive to being pulled in the right direction, so it can take a little bit of patience to really get used to tightening this up. And then once I am happy with the tightness, I can secure the neck, or I can do this the other way around if I prefer, but I might need to adjust this afterwards. And I can secure as needed, so I'm not quite tight enough on this side. I'm going to have to lift and support. As I said, this can be quite more of a challenge to get the second baby in. And then we need to have a little bit of a wiggle. There we go. So, there we go. Yeah, so the real pros are it does give you your hands back. And it carries two, and it's really, really, really lightweight. It can take a bit of getting used to, and how to tighten, and getting a great positioning for babies and getting used to it all. One of the other disadvantages is it can be quite challenging to get back out, because to loosen I've got to find these plastic parts behind my back and push. Although often I find by releasing this, you can often get enough slack to sort of wiggle them out. And it does mean if one is still sleeping, you might feel a little bit lopsided with only one in, or it just looks a little bit unsightly with the flappiness, but actually you should still be comfortable enough because you've got that lovely support from the waistband. So it is quite a convenient option, although compared to two singleton carriers together, sometimes that can give you more flexibility. But really depends how much you're wanting to carry both together versus one at a time. In terms of how long it lasts, we talked about when it will fit from, so generally about 8 weeks-ish. In terms of how long it will last, I tend to find it will last as long as, it will last until you can no longer meet your hands together. So generally a lot of parents are telling me that's around 9-10 months. Around 9-10 months it just simply becomes too bulky and they can't really do things in front of them, which sort of defeats the object of being hands-free. And that's often around then, or a little before then, is often when parents move to, if they are carrying both babies, one front, one back. But it can be a great option for that in-between stage when they're not really ready to go one front, one on back, particularly for calming down and so forth. And the last thing I should say about this is the material. So I mentioned this is the mesh, and I have reviewed in the past the older version, which was the denim, and this mesh one. They've made two main changes. The first change is they've replaced the denim with this lovely mesh, and if I come in close you might be able to see it. It's really, really thin and it's really, really soft, and it's the same mesh they use on the mini sling. I think this is a great change because carrying twins is really hot, and this fabric is just so light and so comfortable. You really don't need to worry about overheating, and it's easy to add layers on. And definitely find it much nicer than the older denim version. The other change they made was they improved the back panel. So it's actually slightly easier to tighten, slightly easier to loosen, and less likely to get crunched up. And there's a little bit more adjustability in terms of fitting different body shapes and sizes. That said, I find with the most petite, this often doesn't go down small enough. It easily goes down small enough for, I would say, most people, but if you're below a UK size 10, you might struggle to get it tight enough. But it goes very, very wide and will fit anyone from a UK size 10 all the way up, and so it does have a great fit range, but maybe doesn't do that right at that one end. And if you have any questions at all about this carrier, please do comment in the comments below. I hope that was helpful. Bye.